It doesn't happen like in the movies. There's no screaming, no slamming doors, no final speech that gives you closure. It happens quietly. A look at her eyes that you can't explain, a silence that feels heavier than words. And before you even realize it, she's gone. The woman you built your life around, gone. The routines, the laughter, the late-night talks, all gone. Now you wake up in a house that feels more like a memory than a home. Every corner whispers her name. Every sound reminds you she's not coming back. You try to understand. You scroll through old messages, searching for clues. You blame yourself, then you blame her, then you blame the universe, but none of it gives peace. Because deep down, you still believe it's temporary. You think she'll wake up one morning, remember the good, and come back. She won't. That version of her doesn't exist anymore. You see, when a woman walks away, it's not spontaneous. She's been gone emotionally long before she leaves physically. She detached while you were still trying to fix things. She rehearsed this goodbye for months, and you never saw it coming. Now you're standing in the ruins of what used to be us, trying to figure out how to live as me. The silence is loud, the loneliness is suffocating, and every heartbeat feels like a reminder that life has no meaning without her. But here's the truth. This isn't the end. It's the demolition before rebirth. Your life didn't collapse. It cleared space. You just haven't seen the blueprint yet. So take a deep breath. Don't fight the pain. Feel it, face it, and remember, what breaks you now will one day build you. At first, you don't even realize you're breaking. You tell yourself you're fine, that you just need time, that she'll come to her senses. But then the nights start to stretch longer, and the mornings stop feeling like beginnings. Your chest feels tight for no reason. Your appetite disappears. You can't focus on work, and every small silence feels like punishment. This is emotional collapse, the invisible storm men are never prepared for. Because no one teaches you how to handle heartbreak when you've built your identity around being strong. So you hold it in. You smile when people ask how you're doing. You say, "I'm good." But deep down, you're dying quietly. You scroll through her pictures even though you promised not to. You imagine her with someone else, laughing, moving on. You feel anger, shame, confusion, all crashing together until you can't tell which one hurts more. You start thinking, how can she live so easily while I can barely breathe? The truth is, she already went through her version of this long before she left. You're grieving the ending, she grieved the relationship. You're just starting the journey, she already finished. But here's what you must understand. This collapse is not weakness, it's withdrawal. You're detoxing from emotional addiction, the constant validation, the routine affection, the illusion of safety. Your brain was wired to her presence, and now it's learning to survive without it. That's why it feels like dying, because in a way, part of you is. So don't run from the pain. Don't drown it in distractions or fake strength. Let it crush you, because only pressure creates diamonds. This version of you that's falling apart, let him die, because from that death, a new man will rise. And this time, he won't need anyone to make him feel whole. At some point, the fog begins to clear, and you start to see things you couldn't before. All those small arguments, the silent dinners, the moments when she looked through you instead of at you, they weren't random. They were warnings you ignored because you were too busy believing love would fix everything. This is the mirror phase, when life forces you to look at what really happened, not what you wish had happened. You start realizing that maybe it wasn't all your fault, but it wasn't all hers either. You both played roles in the slow destruction of something sacred. She gave up quietly. You stayed loudly. And now both of you are paying the price. But here's the difference. She moved on outwardly, while you're moving on inwardly. Her healing looks quick because it's external. Yours is invisible because it's internal. But internal growth lasts longer.
You're rebuilding roots, not appearances. You'll start to notice how your mind begins to question old beliefs. You once thought love meant sacrifice. Now you see that sometimes sacrifice becomes self-erasure. You thought staying patient meant strength. Now you know silence can also be denial. This mirror doesn't flatter, it exposes. Don't turn away from it, because the truth you face now will protect you forever. This is where real transformation begins, when you stop blaming and start understanding. When you stop chasing someone else's reflection and start recognizing your own.
Every man must walk through this mirror once in his life, the reflection of everything he refused to see. And when he finally does, he never sees the world the same way again. There comes a point when something changes, quietly, almost without warning. You wake up one morning, and for the first time, she's not the first thought in your mind. The pain is still there, but it no longer owns you. That's the moment the power begins to shift. In the beginning, she had all of it, your focus, your energy, your emotions. Every move she made decided how your day would feel. When she texted, you felt alive. When she ignored you, you felt invisible. You lived like a satellite orbiting someone else's gravity. But now you're learning how to stand on your own ground. This shift doesn't happen with anger. It happens with acceptance. You stop trying to prove your worth to someone who couldn't see it. You stop waiting for closure that will never come. And the moment you stop needing anything from her, she loses all control over you. That's the paradox. When you let go, she starts to notice. Because indifference is louder than any argument. She expected you to beg, to chase, to prove, but you didn't. You simply disappeared into your own silence. And that silence unsettles her more than your words ever could. Now you begin to reclaim your life. The gym becomes your therapy. Discipline becomes your new language. You pour your energy into building, not remembering. And for the first time in a long time, your reflection in the mirror doesn't look broken. It looks focused. Power doesn't mean revenge. It means control over your thoughts, your habits, your emotions. That's when you understand. The real win after heartbreak isn't her regret. It's your evolution. Healing isn't about time. It's about repetition. The things you do daily, even when you don't feel like it, are what rebuild you. This is where most men fail. They wait for motivation. But recovery doesn't come from motivation. It comes from discipline. You start small. Wake up at the same time every morning. Make your bed. Go for a run, even when your body feels heavy. Eat real food. Read something that sharpens your mind. It sounds simple, but these small acts are war. Every time you follow through, you're teaching your brain one thing: I'm still in control. When she left, it felt like you lost everything. But discipline gives it back, piece by piece. Routine becomes your anchor. Structure becomes your therapy. Because healing isn't a feeling, it's a practice. Some days you'll still break down. You'll still feel the sting when a memory hits out of nowhere. That's okay. You don't have to be unshakable. You just have to keep moving. Pain doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're still healing. You'll start to notice how different you feel when you live with order. The chaos that used to consume you starts losing power. You stop reacting to everything she does. You stop wondering who she's with. You stop checking her page. Because your energy is finally being invested in the one person who never left, you. This is the discipline of healing. Doing what's right, not what feels right. Choosing peace over reaction. Choosing purpose over pain. And one morning, without even realizing it, you'll look around and realize you've built something solid again. There comes a point when healing isn't enough. You don't just want to feel better. You want to feel alive again. That's when purpose calls you. It whispers in the silence you once feared, telling you there's more to build, more to become, more to live for. At first, you won't know where to start. You'll feel lost, like a man standing in the ruins of his old life with no blueprint.
But that's exactly where rebuilding begins. When everything you thought defined you has been stripped away, what's left is truth. And truth is the perfect foundation. You start focusing on your body, because physical discipline heals mental chaos. You focus on your work, not to escape, but to create. You pick up the dreams you buried to keep someone else comfortable. Every small action you take toward your own purpose rewires your brain to believe again. The beauty of starting over is that you can finally build on your own terms. No more living for approval, no more shrinking to fit someone else's expectations. You are no longer a husband trying to fix a marriage. You are a man rebuilding his mission. And when that mission starts to take shape, something powerful happens. You stop feeling broken. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What can I build because of it?" That's when you understand. Purpose is the bridge between pain and peace. The man who loses everything often finds himself. You're no longer surviving the loss. You're leading your own rebirth. And the world will feel that shift. Because once a man rediscovers his purpose, he becomes unstoppable.
There's a kind of power that doesn't shout, doesn't post, doesn't prove, it simply exists. That's the power of silence. When a man learns to stop reacting, the world loses its grip on him, and so does she. In the early days, your silence was filled with pain, the kind that screams inside your chest. You wanted to explain, to defend, to be understood. But now, your silence carries weight. It's not weakness anymore, it's awareness. You've realized that no amount of talking changes people who have already made up their minds. Every message you don't send, every argument you don't start, every rumor you don't chase, that's power. Because silence doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you've mastered the art of saying nothing when there's nothing left worth saying. You see, women expect men to react. They expect you to explode, to break, to beg, because that feeds their story. But when you don't, when you simply detach and move on, you remove yourself from the narrative completely. And that silence terrifies them. Now your energy isn't wasted on proving your worth. It's invested in peace, fitness, learning, growth. You don't need to post your progress. It speaks for itself. People can feel when a man is centered, calm, focused, unbothered. Your silence isn't absence, it's evolution. It's the loudest statement you'll ever make. I'm not chasing, I'm creating. And when you reach this level, nothing anyone says about you matters, because you're too busy building what they can only talk about. That's the beauty of silence. It doesn't seek revenge, it becomes revenge in the form of success, peace, and strength that no one can touch. Confidence doesn't return in a single moment. It rebuilds slowly, through small victories, consistent actions, and the quiet realization that you're no longer who you were. You don't wake up one morning feeling strong again. You earn it, through repetition, resilience, and refusal to stay broken. It starts when you stop apologizing for existing. When you look in the mirror and see not a man who was left, but a man who refused to quit. Your posture changes. Your eyes stop searching for approval. You move differently, slower, more deliberate, like someone who knows his value doesn't depend on anyone's validation. Confidence isn't arrogance, it's peace. It's walking through the same memories that once hurt and feeling nothing. It's hearing her name and not losing your breath. It's realizing that everything you needed to survive was inside you all along. Now you start attracting things you used to chase. Opportunities, respect, even love. But not the kind that drains you, the kind that meets you at your level. Because when a man is grounded in himself, he doesn't chase love, he chooses it. Your confidence will scare some people. They'll call it ego. They'll say you've changed. And they'll be right. You have. You've outgrown the version of yourself that begged to be understood. You've replaced desperation with direction. This is the stage where your silence turns into presence. You walk into a room and people can feel it, the calm energy of a man who's been to hell and built a home there. You don't talk about strength. You are strength.
Something subtle begins to happen. The same people who once looked at you with pity now look at you with curiosity. They see the difference, the calm in your eyes, the focus in your movements, the quiet confidence that doesn't need to be announced. You've changed, and everyone can feel it. You're not loud about your progress. You don't post quotes or talk about healing. You just live differently. You show up on time. You look sharper. You speak less, but with more weight. You've become grounded, like a man who no longer chases storms, because he's learned how to build peace instead. People start asking, how did you do it? They won't understand that the answer is simple. You stayed. You stayed through the sleepless nights, through the heartbreak, through the silence. You didn't run to distractions. You rebuilt yourself one painful, disciplined day at a time. Even she notices, not because you post it, but because your energy has shifted. The man she left behind is gone. What stands in his place is someone she can't manipulate, can't predict, and can't forget. And that's not revenge. That's evolution. The world respects a man who transforms quietly. Because real growth doesn't need validation. It demands attention. Your presence becomes your proof. Your peace becomes your power. You are no longer defined by what you lost, but by what you built from the loss. And soon you realize the world didn't change around you. You changed, and the world simply adjusted. This is where you stop looking backward, because the man you've become doesn't live there anymore.
After everything you've been through, you begin to understand something deeper. Strength was never about holding on. It was about learning when to let go. You used to think survival meant fighting for love, proving your worth, chasing what was slipping away. But now you see, real strength is silent. It doesn't chase. It accepts, endures, and rebuilds. You've learned that pain isn't your enemy. It's your mentor. It taught you who truly stands with you and who only clapped when you were winning. It showed you the difference between comfort and growth, between attention and connection. It stripped you down until only truth remained. Strength also taught you boundaries. You no longer explain yourself to people who don't listen. You no longer fight for spaces that drain your peace. You protect your energy the way you once protected the relationship, and this time it's working. You understand now that love without respect is poison, that kindness without limits becomes self-destruction, that being a good man doesn't mean being everyone's savior, it means being your own protector first. When you start living by these lessons, something changes in you, permanently. You stop measuring strength by how much you can endure and start measuring it by how quickly you can rebuild. You stop romanticizing suffering and start respecting peace. And in that peace, you discover a version of yourself you never knew existed, calm, powerful, and free. That's the man you were always meant to become, not the one who was broken by loss, but the one who was built by it. Something shifts inside you, not suddenly, but quietly. The man who once lived in reaction now lives in direction. You stop surviving and start becoming. The pieces that once felt broken start fitting together again, not the same way, but stronger. This is rebirth, not of your life, but of your identity. You no longer chase love, attention, or validation. You've tasted emptiness, and it taught you the value of peace. Now your energy goes into yourself, your goals, your craft, your body, your growth. You spend more time in silence and less time explaining. You've learned that strength doesn't shout, it simply exists. You begin to walk differently, slower, calmer, more certain. Because for the first time in years, you're not walking towards someone, you're walking as someone. Every decision is deliberate, every boundary is firm. You begin to walk differently, slower, calmer, more certain. Because for the first time in years, you're not walking towards someone, you're walking as someone. Every decision is deliberate, every boundary is firm. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone anymore. Your existence is proof enough. The beauty of this rebirth is that it doesn't seek revenge. It doesn't need her regret. It only needs your progress. You no longer measure success by who stays or leaves, but by how deeply you respect yourself. And when people see you now, they sense it. They can feel that something about you has changed, not in your looks, but in your energy. You've been to rock bottom, and you've built a foundation there. Now you rise with quiet confidence, not to show the world what you lost, but to show what you found, yourself. This is the man who no longer fears being alone, because he finally understands solitude is where the strongest men are born. You reach a point where the noise fades, and what's left is silence, the kind that doesn't hurt anymore. You stop replaying old conversations. You stop imagining what could have been. You stop needing to be understood, because now you finally understand yourself. Peace doesn't come when everything gets fixed. It comes when you accept that not everything will. Some people will never apologize. Some wounds will never fully close, and that's okay, because peace isn't about perfection. It's about surrender. You realize you don't need her regret, her validation, or her acknowledgement. You don't even need the world to see your pain. You just need your own approval. The moment you stop chasing justice, the healing becomes complete. Now you live differently. You guard your energy like treasure. You walk away from arguments that no longer serve growth. You don't chase closure. You create distance. You don't explain. You let silence speak. You've learned that peace is not passive. It's power under control. The world sees a calm man. They don't see the battles you fought to earn that calm. They don't see the nights you sat in the dark, teaching yourself to breathe again. But you know, and that's enough. So when she passes your mind, you don't curse her. You don't miss her either. You simply wish her well, not because she deserves it, but because you deserve peace. This is your final awakening. You no longer live to prove anything. You live to protect everything that makes you calm. One day, you'll wake up and realize you're no longer waiting for her name to stop hurting. It already has. You'll make your coffee, open the window, and the world will look the same, but you'll be different. You'll see that her leaving didn't end you. It revealed you. It stripped away everything false so that something real could finally grow. You'll stop searching for closure because you'll understand you were the closure all along. She was a chapter, not the book. You were never meant to stay broken. You were meant to rebuild, stronger, wiser, freer. This is not where love ended. This is where you began. And now, nothing and no one will ever have the power to break you again. And one day, you'll smile for no reason. Not because you got her back, but because you got yourself back. The pain that once felt endless becomes memory. The chaos turns to calm. You'll walk through the same places that once broke you and feel nothing but gratitude. Because this is what true strength looks like. Quiet, grounded, peaceful. You're no longer defined by what you lost. You're defined by what you built after losing it. She walked away, but you rose. And now, nothing and no one can take that peace away again. And one day, you'll smile for no reason. Not because you got her back, but because you got yourself back. The pain that once felt endless becomes memory. The chaos turns to calm. You'll walk through the same places that once broke you and feel nothing but gratitude. Because this is what true strength looks like. Quiet, grounded, peaceful. You're no longer defined by what you lost. You're defined by what you built after losing it. She walked away, but you rose. And now, nothing and no one can take that peace away again. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll wake up different. The pain that used to define your mornings will be gone. You'll make your coffee, open the curtains, and the world will look the same. But you'll know you're not the same man anymore. You'll walk past the memories that once shattered you and feel nothing but calm. No bitterness, no longing, just quiet understanding. Because healing isn't forgetting,
It's remembering without pain. You'll finally see that her leaving wasn't the end of your story. It was the beginning of your transformation. She walked away, but she unknowingly handed you the gift of rebirth, the chance to rebuild your life on your own terms. Now, you no longer chase peace, you live in it. You don't seek validation, you carry it within. You don't prove anything, you simply exist as proof. This is the man you became through fire, steady, calm, unshakable. A man who lost everything and somehow found himself. And that quiet, unbothered, peaceful man is the one the world will never see coming.